And usually my classes are like 8 to 10 people. So they're more like small, private specialty than, you know, at festivals there can be 100 people. You know, the last festival, you know, like at Beloved, I had 54 people, you know, showing up for the workshops. And it's like,
You're at Beloved?
uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been a bunch. So let's get back in the swing and go over our half Buddha sequence. So we always come in through our sumo. See if you can talk yourself into your sumo squat. It'll get easier after the 100th time, right? Forearm press. Yeah, press them forward. Okay. So half Buddha is when we just do one leg loop at a time. Did you turn the page? Good. So it looks like not a whole lot of information there, but we're going to do a lot of different variations. So we're just going to do one leg at a time, and this is considered kind of like 3B. Or since 3A was floating Buddha, this is called half Buddha. Anyhow, so we're in a half sumo and a half floating Buddha, right? Because we're going to keep our sumo here. Awesome. So the first thing I like to do, and I do this a lot when I'm working with people one-on-one that have hip injury, I just call it wagging the tail. We're just lubricating the hip joint by letting the leg explore in the space, right? Dropping the hips, opening the heart, letting the head be relaxed. Yeah, let's just get used to the hip drop. That's really new for people. Then we're going to do a version of pigeon where we pull the foot in, bending the knee, holding on to whatever you can reach, maybe the leg loop. Yeah, maybe the foot. Then we're going to come into a quad stretch. This is kind of a bonus pose, but we're going to turn the knee over, keep holding on to the leg loop, and walk it out to 9 and 3. Yeah, so 9 and 3 with the feet. There you go. Pull the knee down towards the earth. Mm-hmm.
Ow.
I know, that looks like it doesn't feel good. So yeah, is there something wrong with that knee?
I have something.
I was like, that one doesn't look like it feels good. Yeah.
Maybe if it was a little lower, it would be better.
I don't know if the height is the issue, it's more the alignment. See how my knee is pointing down towards the earth?
Yeah.
So what you have to do is come on back, right? Stay seated. Let's do it one more time, step by step. If it doesn't feel good, then not everybody's knees, it's really the hip that isn't bending. So you have to hold on to the foot and bend the knee out to the side first.
Okay.
This is preparation. Then you keep the foot in nice and tight. You don't let it go out away from the body. You have to hold on to the leg loop with the left hand. When you bend the knee in, you turn it over and you keep the foot close to your butt. Mm-hmm. And then the knee points down towards the ground. Pull the foot in more.
It won't go.
It won't go there.
I could
Yeah.
if this my ankle could. It feels like I could come like this,
Mm-hmm.
and then it will bend.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Hold on to the leg loop. Mm-hmm. Walk your foot out to 9 and 3. Mm-hmm. So the knee has to point down towards the ground. Yes. Because if your knee is pointing forward, that's not a safe position. So that's, yeah. So there's some tightness in the hip. Basically is what happens with most people, right? So that's why the foot's so far away. So you can pull yourself up to stand. Pull yourself to stand. Keep holding on to the leg loop. Don't let go of the anchor. This is your stabilizer. Bring your foot towards your bum. Yeah. See how I'm right underneath my vertical axes and you're all the way over there?
yeah.
Get underneath your plumb line. Yeah. Okay. Your foot has to go back to where it was. Yeah, there you go. And you can pull yourself straight up and down, but stay on your vertical axes so that way you keep the alignment. Yeah. And that's what I usually do for people who have some tightness in the hip there. So there's something that's tight. Yeah. And if it's uncomfortable turning the knee over, you can just come to stand and point your toes towards the sky and take the leg loop off. Try that. Point the toes up. Take the leg loop off. Yeah. That's a nice, safe way to exit if there's any discomfort, right? So this is a good time to go over some alignment principles. I usually teach this tomorrow because it is way more AerialYoga than AYPE. Okay, so the hips are a ball and socket, which means they're supposed to be moving in all directions. And most people, because they're so used to moving in linear, their hips don't rotate, particularly internally. So this is an internal rotation. This is an external rotation with the knee out. This is an internal rotation, right? Well, because the hips are so locked in through so much linear activity, the knee, which is supposed to be a hinge, winds up being the ball and socket. And people are trying to bend from their knee. Not a good idea. After having multiple knee surgeries, I figured this out, right? So we keep the knee in nice and tight. We keep the foot in nice and tight, so we actually bend at the hip. If your foot goes away from the body, your knee has to be a ball and socket, right? We're going to keep the knee as a hinge. Does that make sense?
If your foot goes away from the body,
It destabilizes the knee and pulls the knee out to the sides.
okay.
Yeah, so the foot stays in nice and tight, and then we rotate from the hip joint instead of the knee joint.
Yes.
So that's why it's important to keep that foot in nice and tight and to hold on to the leg loop so you're stabilizing the knee.
Okay.
Let's try the other side. Usually one side is different than the other. You know, they're hanging out together, but particularly if there's an asymmetry in the hips, it'll show up in the knees. And so we're just doing the quad stretch. So in our sumo, we're gonna reach around and grab for the right leg loop, karate chop the foot up there. We're gonna get into our core strengthening next. But let's just try wagging the tail using our forearm press. Just let that feel good, stretching out the legs. All we need to do today is get it in our own bodies and kind of explore. We'll get concerned with teaching it later when we're reviewing and we're going over it again. Right now, just explore, because you'll discover some things about your own body that are really interesting like that, right? Like, oh, my foot doesn't like to bend out like that, or that side feels mirrored, and that kind of thing. Because we're really just figuring out like what's going on in our own alignment while getting to know the swing. Okay, so we always start with the external rotation and come through a pigeon pose, pulling the foot in, knee out to the side. And then we have to keep holding on to the leg loop to stabilize, right? So foot stays in, knee turns over. Once the knee is pointing down towards the ground, then you walk it out to 9 and 3. Keep lifting up and point, nope, don't let go of the leg loop. That's your stabilizer for your knee. Yeah, and then heel toe to 9 and 3. There you go, wiggle it. Yes, so see how far away your foot is?
Yes.
So that means your knee is unstable. So pull your foot in nice and tight. Yeah, keep the knees nice and stable. That's it.
Oh, and my quads are tight.
That's what's going on, yeah. That's why we call it a quad stretch. And when the quad is tight, I know, we don't have to get into that right now, but eventually you'll be able to keep your foot in tight but expand out. It's kind of like splits, right? So yeah, so don't go too far, just go as far as it feels good. You can always lift and lower. The same with all the other poses that we get into, where we take our time to explore in some of these tight spots, and then you can just come to stand and let that foot point towards the sky and it'll come off nice and easy. Yes, so this is a very therapeutic way to open up the quads. We're gonna do a lot of quad stretching today, so that'll be fun. Let's come back in and try the rest of the half Buddha sequence, which incorporates some more core and leg stretches. Okay, so all of number 3 is focusing on leg stretches, with the front and back of the legs. We focus on the hamstrings, so now we're getting into the quads. Coming to the center of the mat, pushing the swing down with your forearms, leaning back. Slide forward to 12 o'clock, and then walk it out to 10 and 2 with your forearm press. There you go. That'll get easier and easier every time. Let's go back to the left side and practice hugging the swing. Let's do some core activations here. Now this is a little intense for people, right? With the swing hitting the bicep. So, you know, most people will go like this, but let's keep the hook. It's really important to get into that habit. So we're gonna point the knee towards down towards the ground, and then we're just gonna lift. Inhale and exhale, squeeze the core. We're just learning how to lift our own legs, super important. My arms are straight out in front of me, see if you can push them away and pull down at the same time. So maybe 5 knee lifts. And then on the 5th one, we're gonna go ahead and get the foot in there. That's how I usually teach people how to get the leg loop on. You're doing a great job of lifting your legs, but some people have trouble, and that's how we get the core strong enough that they can lift up. Okay, from here, there are a few other core strengthenings I like to do. Okay, so we can again just lift. We can hold on to the swing with both hands. Lift the right knee up, right? So another core exercise. So I'm gonna press my leg down, engaging my hamstring in order for my hips to be level. Can you feel how that works a little bit more, the back of the leg? And if I press down?
Yes, it protects the knee.
Yeah, and it protects the knee, exactly. So that's another nice core lift, right? Just lifting the knee. Then we're gonna come into our chillaxin arms, and we're gonna bring knee to elbow, and then expand like you're making a rainbow with your body, and then exhale, squeeze. So the elbow to knee version is a little bit harder, right? You can see there's a little bit more engagement going on here. These are actually the easy core strengtheners. And then the hard one, I call plank toe touches. So hold on to the swing with the right hand, that helps us to stabilize. And then we're gonna come into a plank, toe touch. Yeah, legs straight out, toe touch. So I'd say do one of these with your crew. You don't have to do all three. Just kind of feel into what level are they at. But eventually, like tomorrow, we'll figure out how to do our plank toe touches. So lift all the way up and hook the foot. This is obviously called hook, right? So we're gonna drop the hips, stretch the whole side of the leg, hamstring, IT band connection. You can always support your head with your hands if there's any tension in the neck. The body should be straight up and down. That looks great. Okay, so after we hook, we twist. So we're gonna let our foot come between that space, right? You can hold on to the swing with both hands or reach for the outer edge of the foot and make an L shape with the legs. You got it? Reach for the foot if it's available. Just like a reclined twist on the floor, right? Good. Yeah, the swing should be more like by the rib cage instead of the waist, but you're all right. So we're gonna come into hammock pose to finish on this side. So I'm just gonna cross my ankles, okay? Now the same way we X the leg loop before, you can make an X and it's kind of comfortable to cushion the ankle bones. You don't have to make an X, it's just kind of fun. Thread through. Okay, now hammock pose, I lean back. I can keep supporting my head with my hands, or I have this fancy extra leg loop right here. So I can put that behind my neck and have it support my head that way. Make sure it's all spread out so it covers the full length of the ears. And it's a nice, gentle neck tractioning. I can also put it on. Both arms go through the center of the leg loop, and then it'll bunch up behind my upper back. Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. And now I'm kind of doubled up behind the heart. And then I can use my chillaxin arms, or let my arms display open to the sides. And this is hammock pose.
Yum.
Isn't that yum? It's a nice pause after all that core strengthening and leg stretching. So yeah, there's a few different variations here. The neck stretch is really nice. It's very gentle. We're gonna reach up and grab for the leg loop, and it's spring-loaded, so be gentle, but we're gonna transition it back to the neck and hang out here for another breath. Usually, if you drop the hips or lift the hips, you're gonna have a totally different experience. So I just say take a moment to feel which one you like best. Just keep the chin tucked into the chest so it's protecting the cervical spine. But it is a class favorite. That looks great. All right, so let's go ahead and go through floating Buddha, put both leg loops on to come back to the second side. We're going to release that foot down, half Buddha. We have two legs, so we're just gonna repeat all that. There's a long sequence for just, you look down and you only see like 3 bullet points. And it's like, wait a second, that's a lot of stuff. So I consider this like the side lunge, right? So from the side lunge, I usually like to wag, which we did before. And I added that bonus quad stretch, but you can see that's a little bit intense for most people. So you don't have to include that in the sequence, but we do have to do our core activations, right? So the core lift, knee to chest is number 1, right? So squeeze, inhale, knee touches down, Exhale, squeeze. It could just be as simple as that, as getting someone to lift their leg. And if that's going well and that looks pretty easy, then you say, okay, let's go back to chillaxing arms and bring knee to elbow and then extend. So it's not a straight leg, it's a bent knee for this whole version, right? So knee stays bent, knee to elbow, and then extend. So you're leaning back into it a little bit more. Yeah, that's it. So knee to elbow, extend. And then we're gonna straighten the leg up towards the sky. Go ahead and touch the toes. All right, so touch the toes. And then we come into a plank, toe touch. Lift your hips all the way, press the hips up. Plank, toe touch. Plank, toe touch. These get easier. As you can tell, these are the harder ones. Require a lot more engagement. After we do about 5 or 10, we're gonna hook all the way up onto the swing. All the way up, yeah. Most people will do this. And I'm like, no, all the way up. The hard part. And then we can just hang. So you can support the head with your hands, but drop your hips and let the legs stretch. So we're letting both legs lengthen as much as possible, as much as it feels good. It'll be really intense on the IT band, which gets really tight for people, so this is a great stretch to get in for runners, bikers, all those folk. After a few deep breaths, usually 5 is the magic number, we're gonna let the foot come in between the swing and leg loop. Bring the legs into an L shape, and then either hold on to the foot or just keep holding on to the swing.
So the foot stays where it is?
Yep, transition, yep, right there, and then twist. L shape with the legs. Make an L, yeah. Push your hips up towards the sky. Push them up. And then hold on to the foot if it's available. Alrighty, hammock pose. Cross the ankles. Now we get to relax. Right, it's always good to end with a hammock. We take the extra leg loop and put it behind our head. Thread both arms through. Double it up behind the upper back. We'll come back to the next stretch. Yeah, just transition to the supported back bend. You can always bend the knees or make an adjustment with the legs. Oh, good. So we can have the arms out to the sides, overhead, reaching up, holding on to the leg loop, chillaxing arms. Lots of different variations. Just try whichever one feels good for today. Nice deep breaths. Drop the hips. Start to reach up and grab for the leg loop. Transition it to the neck. Make sure it's spread out over the full length of the ears. That way the chin can stay tucked into the chest. And then play with a different position of the hips. You can lift the hips and drop the hips and see which pose you like the best. That we want to go for a gentle neck stretch. Okay. Whew. Really good. Alrighty, reach up, grab for the leg loop. We're going to take that off. Come on back through floating Buddha. I'm going to show you one more variation with everything spread out. So the other magic part of the swing is that everything expands. So we're going to let the leg loops be wide, covering and hooking the arch of the foot, hook the heel, and stretch it out to the back of the knee. So now we're going to try hammock one more time and just notice what it feels like with everything stretched out. Some people don't like the pressure on the skin, so that's why I made everything nice and thick and wide. You can do the same thing here where you got to stretch the swing out and sit in it too. So when people are like, I don't like it, just stretch it out. Yeah, just pull the bottom edge of the swing towards your bum and see if you can lengthen it out. Yeah, as long as it didn't get twisted, you're good. If you bring your head down towards the ground, it's going to be really challenging to spread it out. So stay seated. Come on back up, honey. All the way up. So just try spreading it out without leaning back. Yeah, see if you can grab the front edge. It might have gotten a little twisted. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, grab an edge and then just pull it. Yeah, see if it works out. Or not. Don't worry about that part for now. It's not the most important part. So from here, we're gonna take, let's go back to hammock one more time. Let's take the right leg loop off and get both feet spread out. Yeah, crossing the ankles. Yeah, and now we can do the same thing where we get the leg loop on. Let's try behind the back. And once this is behind the back and you're supported, then see if the swing will spread out for you. Yeah. Now see if you have some room. Just, yeah, there you go. You just got a little twisted in there, which happens. There you go. And then it feels like way better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all twisted.
It's okay. Yeah, so this is, let the leg loop be a little bit higher up on the back so that it's above the shoulder blades. Yeah, that way it's supporting your weight. There you go. And now you have, yeah, that one doesn't need to be spread out though, just so it's a little bit higher.
Okay.
There you go, yeah. That's fine. So don't you feel a lot more supported?
Yeah.
Like 10 different ways. So this would be the more restorative version of the hammock pose. And we can obviously spread everything out in a lot of the poses. So it's always good to go back and practice like Baddha Konasana and Flying Monkey and all those poses even while you can practice them with the leg loop spread out, and it feels really different. Really good. Reach up, grab for the leg loop one more time, transition it out from behind the back. And we're gonna take both leg loops off and come on up for a reset. Woo! Yeah, so sometimes you have to come out of the swing to spread it out. And I will start a class like this and then go into floating Buddha with them sitting in the swing. It does get twisted sometimes, it's not that big of a deal, but you can put the leg loops on like this and then transition, so lots of variations. Let me go ahead and index this and then we'll get into chillax. Have a sip of water, take a little pause in between. It's good to stay hydrated.